I'm Kiki, your host, and today we will be talking with McKenzy. Before we get started, a little about me. I am currently an AIFS Abroad Alumni Ambassador, and I have this opportunity to be today's host from participating on my education abroad experience in Paris, France with Florence in college during the spring semester. Just like McKenzy, we are both unpacking from this amazing journey, and I can't wait to hear about your experience. McKenzy, can you start by telling us what AIFS Abroad program you did?
Yes. Hi, guys. Hi, Kiki. Thank you so much for having me on. I was actually in Florence, Italy. I started with studying there for the fall 2023 semester. And then I went back and studied and interned same place, same location in Florence for the spring 2023 semester.
That sounds amazing. And I love that you ended up going back. A lot of my friends and peers also recently went back to France because they didn't want to stay in America afterwards. So I just love that you ended up going back to Italy. And it sounds like you had a great time, clearly. So what was your biggest motivation to study abroad?
Yeah, I think that honestly, maybe as for a lot of people, I honestly just felt like I needed a major change. I was kind of in this lull of motivation and almost felt like I was hitting a wall in my education journey. And I definitely wanted to just experience something that was bigger than myself, something that was different, and something that could almost change my life per se. And then, of course, just the normal idea of wanting to do something that I'd always wanted to do, which was travel around Europe. And also just felt like saying yes to the opportunity that was presenting itself as a college student was sort of exactly what I felt called to do.
Yeah, and I love that you were just looking for a change of pace and looking for something different to do. That's for a lot of college students, that's what they're looking for because the education can get quite monotonous and things can get very repetitive. So looking for that change of pace, looking for something to bring back and regenerate a passion for education is something that a lot of students are seeking. So that is really good that study abroad is what motivated you to continue that motivation for your education. What was your biggest obstacle prior to your trip and how did you end up overcoming it?
I think that, of course, even though I felt called to have a major change, this idea of something being so major and so life altering was definitely really scary, as well as going alone made it way more nerve wracking. I don't know. It was just interesting how, these kind of being things that were not keeping me from actually going to Italy, but sort of making me nervous and scared about the experience. How quickly they went away when I got there, I almost started acting in a way that I always wanted to be, but almost never could at home or in at my university. I definitely became a lot more extroverted, talkative, and out of my shell. And I put in a lot more energy on fostering new connections, reaching out to the people around me, and prioritizing my wants and desires for my semester abroad.
Yeah, and those nerves, that's a normal part, especially because you're moving out of the country to another country you've never been to for so long. So of course you're going to be nervous before going abroad, but I'm so glad that you were open to it still and that you ended up having such a great time and you ended up being someone that you've always wanted to be. That's very beautiful to hear. I definitely relate to that degree. I have become a lot more open, a lot more extroverted and a lot more comfortable speaking with people ever since going to France and having the experiences that I've experienced. So it's a lot of fun for sure.
Wow. Yeah. Life changing, honestly.
It is. It truly is. What were some lifestyle changes, if any, that you enjoyed and ended up taking home with you?
Yeah, I think that there were plenty that I loved and enjoyed and am trying to implement in my day to day back here at home. I think a major thing that people do over in Italy is they enjoy these long meals all together, really taking time to connect, check in, laugh, and just sort of have a good time over the
Oh.
course of a couple of different courses of meals. And then of course their slowed down lifestyle, just trying to walk a little bit slower, stopping and talking to people, getting to know the people around me more personally. I think that when I was there, I built and made such amazing connections with not only the people in my program and the friends in my life there, but my professors and also the people at my job where I interned. And then I think that just gaining an overall confidence and reliance on myself, which impacted every other part of my life there, now impacts every other part of my life here.
Oh, that was very beautifully said, and I couldn't agree more that that slower lifestyle and that just opportunity to take in and observe people and observe the society and your surroundings is definitely something that I have also adopted since my study abroad. That chance to kind of dig a little deeper, have conversations that dig a little bit deeper with your peers, or in my case, with my host parents. They would always have conversations with me and my roommate, and the conversations were never very shallow. They were always asking like, so what did you think about this? Or how did you feel about this? Or what do you think about this situation that's going on in Paris right now? And they were very open to having these conversations with us and encouraged us to engage with them in those conversations as well. And that overall lifestyle of just taking things slow, enjoying your life and working to live, not live to work, essentially, that lifestyle change is something that I've definitely enjoyed and have been trying to re-implement since coming back. So if you could give others one piece of advice before going to study abroad, what would it be?
Yeah, I have a couple pieces of advice, hopefully. I think that narrowing it down to one is so hard. I think that the biggest thing is be open to anything and everything and say yes as much as you can if it feels right for you. Now is the time to really lean into this cliche of study abroad changed my life and take note of how you are changing and adjusting. And of course, finding a balance in between your studies, your travel, and overall just taking care of yourself, and understanding that being gentle with yourself and giving yourself so much grace when things are hard is so important because honestly, you're not alone. Everyone else is going through those exact same emotions and are on the same roller coaster of study abroad and are experiencing the same lived experiences that you are, and you all are just hitting them at different points of the semester. So just hopefully reaching out to the people that you love and, being there for others when they ask for your compassion and empathy.
I couldn't agree more with that. The being more open-minded and being very understanding also of the country that you're in, of their social construct and some of the social rules that they have. That's something as well that I would add on to that, because that comes with being the open-minded, being open to different experiences. A lot of countries will have different customs than what we're used to seeing. So it's important to understand that going into it, because you could accidentally end up getting somebody a little upset with you, and you wouldn't want that, especially when it's your first time there.
I think bringing up that idea too of culture is so important. Even discussing that with some of my professors, it's so interesting because, they talk a lot about how, and it's true, I saw it from my year, how many kids and students go abroad and they are just looking for their 3-month vacation rather than actually experiencing where they're living and, dipping their toe into the culture and trying to get involved. And honestly, just learning and, diving in as much as they can and, getting to know their professors and the people who, for me, my case, are Italian or for your case, are French. And I just think that that's so important and it's not touched upon. That is maybe honestly even the most important piece of advice that you could give, which is don't treat this as if it is just a one city on your stop of your grand tour, but take into account the fact that you are living there and you are experiencing it as your day to day. And that's a blessing, and being able to really be involved as much as you can in the country and in the culture and in your surroundings.
Yeah, definitely. And getting to know the city that you're living in, getting to know the country that you're living in, that is so important. And it's so important to know and learn about the history of the place that you're in, because every country and even every part of these, like different parts of the same country, could have such different histories. And it's
Mhm.
really interesting to learn about those things so long as you take the time to do so. So, speaking of connections and traveling and getting familiar with your host country, what has been your most exciting or memorable experience while you were studying abroad?
I honestly just had so many, and all of them for such different things. I think that the memorable experiences for me were honestly just in the little mundane, everyday things. So like as I said, like getting to go to dinner with my friends every night, no matter how busy we were during our days, getting to visit and travel with my friends from home in their different study abroad locations, forming my friendships and connections with people in my life. I mean, that was just the most life-changing and exciting, of course, experiences. And then, of course, just navigating the culture and gaining a complete new sense of self.
I have grown so much as a person since my time abroad, and it was just so nice to be able to go to France and be able to explore as an individual versus going to France on family trips and going to only one part of France and staying in that one part of France and then going home. I got to actually explore the country a little bit more, take more time to get to know the country. So that was a really nice experience for me because I previously wouldn't have been able to do that as much. So, how did you feel when you finally did come back to your college life after your studies, and what were some challenges in readjusting back to your time here and your routine?
I think that honestly, I felt completely changed. I felt reinvented. I felt remotivated towards my studies and honestly just realigned with who I am and who I wish to be going forward. I just felt so fulfilled and connected with so many people around me and just kind of figured out so much for going forward, not only in like my personal life, but in my career and in my professional journey, which was just so interesting to, gain so much of this, realization just from, well, I was there for a year, but just from that short lived experience of being in a different country and how much it shapes you as a person and how different you feel coming home. Almost like everything stayed put and here you are completely different and new. And of course, the classic challenge that I talk about with everyone in my life is this idea of the post abroad slump, which I'm sure you can relate to. It is so hard to come back to reality and watch, the memories or, have to talk to your long distance friends about what you just experienced altogether and not have that be your day to day. And I'm now just about I am reaching my year ago today, and getting those little flashback memories is crazy because seeing what my weekends looked like and what my days looked like um now versus then is a little bit depressing, but also so grateful that I got that experience at all.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel you on the post abroad slump. It hit quite hard for me. It felt like a fever dream, and I know that it wasn't. I have photographic and video proof and memories to prove that it wasn't a fever dream for 3 months.
Yeah.
Um, but it definitely did take some time readjusting, getting back to work, getting back to my studies, going back on campus after almost, if not more than 6 months of not being on campus. That was a really weird experience for me, just seeing, I was like, oh, I'm here again for the first time in months. And I didn't even realize that it had been that long until I had stepped onto campus.
Right.
And just that whole readjusting period, even still, like going back, looking at my memories, I'll get flashback notifications from my photos like, hey, 6 months ago, you did this. I was like, yes, I know I did this 6 months ago. Please don't remind me. It makes me sad.
I don't want to see it.
Like, I'm happy, but I also don't know if I should see this right now because it makes me want to go back.
Yeah.
And it's actually funny because some of my friends, they ended up just kind of choosing to not deal with the post-study abroad slump, and they ended up going back to France. One of them, now she's studying in France. I forgot where exactly she is, but she's doing sustainable design in France. And
Right.
another one is teaching English there. So he is, they're both living their best lives in France. They are not dealing with having to be back completely 100% in America yet.
Wow. Oh my gosh, what an opportunity.
Lucky them, I know. Well, that wraps up our conversation for today with McKenzy. Thank you all so much for listening in today, and thank you, McKenzy, for chatting with me. And please don't forget to subscribe so you can hear more stories about studying and living abroad. See you next time.